Normally, I would say welcome to video podcast number 37. But for the most part, I'm not going to... Wait a minute. I hear noises on my computer. I'm not going to really title this video podcast number 37. Because to do as such would be suggesting that I'm moving on to a new and different topic. If you remember when I did video podcast number 14, which was still, I would say to date, my most profound video podcast, which was the myth of the prudish and strictly monogamy-oriented good girl. I did a video podcast right after that I referred to as an addendum. And for those of you who are not familiar with that term, once again, an addendum means you want to add something on to something you've already done. It could be a book you've already done. Like, let's say I was to publish a book. And I submitted the manuscript and it went to the publisher and it was already published and ready to be distributed on the market. But then right before it's distributed on the market, I said, oh, snap. I forgot to include this. Or I want to further clarify this. Or I've just received new information that brings more validation to this. What I would do is I would have the publishers in that book, the hardcover or paperback, insert an addendum. An addendum. That means you add on something at the end after it's already been done. So that's what I did with video podcast number 14. I called the next one, I can't remember. I think one was 13, and I think I called the other one 13A, or one was 14, and I called the other one 14A. One of those. Anyway, so I'm going to call this video podcast number 36A, as opposed to video podcast number 37. Because 90% of this is going to be just a continuation of some of the stuff I talked about in video podcast number 36, which was entitled Respectful Disagreements and Subjective Truth versus Objective Truth. Now, I got a lot of feedback from that video podcast, just as I did the video podcast before that, as I did the video podcast before that, as I did the video podcast before that. I mean, generally speaking, most of my video podcasts I receive quite a bit, both public feedback as well as private feedback. Some more than others. Matter of fact, the video podcast I just mentioned, I want to say to date, if I had to combine the amount of public feedback I got with the amount of private feedback I got from listeners on any one video podcast, it would be video podcast number, I can't remember now if it was 13 or 14, but the one entitled The Myth of the Prudish and Strictly Monogamy-Oriented Good Girl. Yeah, I would say to date, that's the most feedback I've ever gotten from one video podcast, both combination of public and private feedback. But yeah, on this most recent one, I got a lot of feedback. Now, if you notice, there was a section where I addressed this. I don't know if this is the right word to call it, but for simplicity purposes, this public beef I've had with this other YouTube host. He has a show on both a live internet radio show on Blog Talk Radio, and he has a YouTube channel. And you could say he and I used to be cool, but then we had a parting of ways that was initiated by myself. And in a nutshell, he didn't take that parting of ways well. He didn't take it well. And that's why since then, that happened roughly about 2 months ago. That was during the first week of June. So we're now in what, the second week of August? So yeah, it's been just over 2 months ago that happened. First, before I get to that, I'm going to get to that, but I want to address a few things. Couple guys wrote me in the last 24 hours. And remember that comment I joked about the brother who I like a lot, Tony Maceo from Mac City Limits podcast. The comment he made about me suggesting that I tend to rub my balls in men's faces. Now, he clarified in my comment section, if you go back to the last video, he clarified what he meant by that in my comment section. And essentially, he said, Alan, I don't think you do it in a malicious manner or necessarily a mean-spirited manner. But he said, even if you just are simply talking about some of the things you talk about your past sexual exploits and past sexual experiences, even in a non-boastful manner, some men are going to be taken aback by that because you're going to bring out their inferiority complex. They're going to feel like, well, shoot, I've never had a threesome in my life. I've never got my dick sucked in a grocery store in my life. So he said, even if it's not your intention to rub people the wrong way, when you discuss your past sexual escapades and sexual exploits, it's just some people that because they've lived a sheltered life or a sexually frustrated life, they're not going to like that. And I agree with him. I agree with his assessment on that. But yeah, I had at least, not too many, I want to say just two guys, maybe three. I had two guys though, well, first of all, you know, man, it's been hot. This quenches my thirst. You know, this is my favorite flavor. Rise. Shine. Rise and shine. Rise and shine. I love this stuff. Excuse me. You can tell by the way I drank that, I'm thirsty as a motherfucker. Just like when I did my last video podcast on Thursday, I was hungry than a motherfucker. Now, I had told you I wasn't going to do a podcast until Monday or Tuesday. And I'm still going to do one on Monday or Tuesday. That's going to be for my $5 Patreon subscribers. My $5 and up, I should say. $5 and up Patreon subscribers. Again, to let you know my format, first, all my relevant and important links are below in the comment section. I mean, not comment section, description section. And any relevant articles that relate to the content I'm talking about are in the comment section. You can always give me public feedback in my comment section below. And you can give me private feedback either through my Facebook pages. I got two, one public, one personal. Both named Alan Roger Currie. Or you can write me at coaching@mode1.net. MODEONE.net. Coaching@mode1.net. So yeah, I'm still going to do my normal format for my video podcast is to give a free portion of about roughly 15, 20, no more than 25 minutes. And then the remainder of the video is exclusively for my Patreon subscribers, either my $5 and up or $10 and up. And I'm going to have some in the future that are just for $20 and up. So yeah, most of mine now are for $5 and up or $10 and up, depending on what I consider to be premium advice material versus non-premium advice material. The main difference between those two, I would consider non-premium advice is when I'm just kind of giving you general natured advice. General natured advice. Still good, solid advice, but general natured advice. Premium advice, which is the $10 level and above, that's when I'm giving you all the type of advice I would give in a paid for consultation session. Or I might be giving you advice that I would be giving in a paid for one-on-one face-to-face coaching session, which are both expensive. So that's premium advice. If I'm giving you the same quality of advice that I would give somebody in either a Skype or telephone consultation or a one-on-one face-to-face coaching session, I consider that premium advice. If I'm giving you advice that I would give maybe like at a general speaking engagement or general workshop type deal, where I'm speaking to a group of men concurrently, then that's my non-premium advice. Anyway, I had a couple guys. The reason why I wanted to do this Saturday podcast is just clarify a few things. Just clarify and enlighten, I would call it. Clarify and enlighten my listeners on some things. I had a couple guys, again, going along the lines of what that Tony Maceo comment of me rubbing my balls. I had some guys suggest, they say, Alan, I'm not so sure you truly empathize with us romantically and sexually frustrated beta males. I used to think that you did, but sometimes I don't think you do. I'm not sure if you do. That hurt me, man. For someone to even say that to me, that's hurtful to me. Number one, who do you think 90 to 95% of my clients are? Who do you think the vast majority of my clients are? You think my clients are womanizing alpha males? Are you serious? Do you really think that? Who do you think most of my clients are? Most of my clients are men who are romantically frustrated to one degree or another and or sexually frustrated to one degree or another. Again, to quickly clarify, people always ask me, Alan, aren't those terms redundant, romantic and sexual? Doesn't romantic mean sexual? No. When I say romantic companionship, that means you're spending time with a woman for a combination of their sexual and non-sexual companionship. So that's what I mean when I say romantic companionship. Like having a wife or a girlfriend. Anytime you're spending time with a woman for both her sexual and her non-sexual companionship, I categorize that as romantic companionship. Now, if you just hooking up with a woman strictly for fucking, y'all pretty much fuck buddies, I call that sexual or sometimes strictly sexual companionship. And then, of course, there's strictly non-sexual companionship, which is otherwise known as a platonic friendship. But yeah, that's who my main demographic is. That's my main clients is guys who I would categorize as romantically or strictly sexually frustrated beta males. So to suggest that I have a lack of empathy. Now, I did say in my last video podcast, I think when people might have misinterpreted, I said there's some things that men have experienced, and I'd say more so beta males, that I can't relate to from the simple fact that I haven't experienced it myself. Like I made the point that I've never been in a relationship with a woman where I had to beg them for sex. Or they only gave me sex, like, say, once a week or 2 to 3 times a month. That's not to say that I don't empathize with my clients who are going through that. But I was just saying, I've never experienced that myself. It's just like, I'll give a simple example. If you were watching TV and you saw that a country was experiencing an earthquake, your heart would go out to them, at least I would think. I mean, you might not have ever experienced an earthquake yourself, but you would be like, damn, that's messed up that they got to deal with this earthquake or this tsunami. And you might have some expertise that could potentially help those people. Like, let's say you used to live in an environment that suffered hurricanes. So you work for the Red Cross helping people after hurricanes. You might be able to go to that country and help some of those people out in their post-traumatic stress from the earthquake, even though you didn't necessarily experience an earthquake yourself. You understand what I'm saying? So, all that to say that just because I've never gone through a divorce myself doesn't mean I haven't been able to have consultation with clients, male clients who are going through a divorce or recently went through a divorce, because I have. I've had a number of clients who were either at the time going through a divorce or they had recently gone through a divorce, and I was able to help them with some of my knowledge, wisdom, insight, and advice, even though I've never myself been married and I've never myself gone through a divorce. So don't ever think that I'm not empathetic. Here's the thing that bothers me, and why it also might seem like I'm not necessarily empathetic to. Look at me. I wrote a book called The Beta Male Revolution. I mean, come on, man. Come on. I wrote a book called The Beta Male Revolution. Why would somebody who's not empathetic to beta males and the frustrations of beta males write a book called The Beta Male Revolution? I've already said this, I want to say 2 or 3 times already, but as with a lot of video podcasts, I end up repeating myself a lot. So I'm going to repeat myself. Here's the 2 groups of guys that kind of get under my skin. There's 2 groups of guys that get under my skin, and they both include a good number of beta males. Number 1, guys who make the suggestion that they are so frustrated with women and their behavior that they just want to leave women alone. They just want to take themselves out of the dating scene. They really don't want anything to do with women. They're like, oh, all women are bitches. Fuck them. I don't want nothing to do with them anymore. I'm not going to even consider myself an active participant in today's dating scene. I'm going to go my own way. Well, see, my main criticism against those guys who have that attitude is, okay, go your own way. Who's stopping you? Bye. Okay, take care. See ya. Why are you still talking? Why are you on YouTube or doing an audio podcast, video podcast, talking about the fact of what you're going to do? Just do it, as Nike said. Just do it. It's similar to a lot of little kids do this. I had at least one cousin who did this with his parents. A lot of times when children are small and they get angry with their mother, father, or both, they'll threaten to run away from home. They'll say, Mom and Dad, you don't treat me right. You don't give me enough ice cream. You don't let me eat cookies. You don't let me stay up at night and watch TV when I want to. So I'm going to run away from home. And when I had a cousin who did that with my aunt, she was like, okay, I'll help you pack. All right. He was like, I'm serious. Hey, don't take me lightly. I'm serious. I'm going to run away from home. She was like, okay. Tell me everything you need. Toothbrush, toothpaste, tell me everything you need. I'll help you pack. He was like, Mom, you're not taking me serious. You don't think I'll leave, but I'm going to leave. I'm going to run away from home. She was like, I'm telling you. You've made it clear to me you're going to run away from home. I'm telling you, I'm going to help you pack. He must have given her like 15 warnings and threats. I'm telling you, if you don't, acquiesce to what my demands and requests, I'm going to run away from home. She was like, okay, I've heard you clearly, and I will help you pack. Now, of course, my cousin knew he wasn't going nowhere. He knew he wasn't going nowhere. I think he was like, what, 7, 8, 9 years old. He knew he wasn't going anywhere. He was just trying to get attention from his mother, who he felt wasn't letting him have his way. Most kids always want to have their way. They spoiled. They want to have their way. That's kind of sort of the way I look at some guys in the dating scene. You know, these guys who are part of all these movements and stuff who say, hey, you know, women aren't treating me fairly. They aren't giving me enough romantic and sexual attention. They're rejecting me left and right. They're ignoring me. Fuck them. I think women should be ignored. I'm going to ignore them. I'm not going to even pursue them for sex anymore. I'm not going to pursue them for long-term romantic companionship anymore. Okay. Bye. Bye. All right, take care. All right, bye. I don't want to hear from you anymore. Let it be known one time, maybe twice, at absolute maximum 3 times, and then go about your own way. Why do you keep talking about this shit? So that's group number 1 of guys who just get on my nerves. Is the guys who essentially keep telling women over and 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 over again, I don't want to mess with you women anymore. I don't want to pursue you women for marriage anymore. I don't want to pursue you women for long-term monogamous relationship. I'm not going to let any of you women have my children. And for the most part, I don't even want to have casual sex with you anymore. Okay, you've made that clear. Go your own way and shut the fuck up. That's basically my argument. Go your own way and shut the fuck up. Quit talking. So when you want to talk about me having empathy versus a lack of empathy, that group of guys, I don't have any empathy for. I don't. And I'll make that clear. I don't have any empathy for that group of guys. None at all. I'm saying if you want to remove yourself as an active participant of today's dating scene, which quite a few men have over the last 10, 15, 20 years. If you want to remove yourself, I'm not going to try to stop you. Like I've read comments on other people's YouTube conversations where some people have suggested that I will try to stop those guys because if I don't stop them, that I'll lose potential revenue and potential profits if I don't try to stop. I don't try to stop those guys. Those guys in this group number 1 I'm talking about, I don't try to stop them. So those people who think I'm trying to stop those guys from going their own way, I am not. I've read a few comments where people said, hey, Alan, he's a dating coach. He has to make money off of guys. If guys go their own way, he won't make it. Shoot. I'm like basically like, bye. I'm just tired of hearing you talk about the shit. That's what I'm tired of. I'm tired of hearing you talk about the fact that you're getting ready to go your own way. I'm basically saying go your own way and be done with the shit. That's what I'm saying. Go your own way and be done with the shit. I don't want to hear from you. If you want to remove yourself as a heterosexual man, you want to remove yourself as an active participant from today's dating scene, I'm saying go your own way and shut the fuck up. Instead of just repeatedly over and over and over and over and over and over and over again, reminding everyone how disgruntled you are with today's woman, with today's female companion. Tired of it, man. And I know I'm not alone. I know a lot of guys who I'm cool with that are tired of the shit. So that's group number 1 that I don't have any empathy for. Group number 2, and I've already talked about this, group number 2 that irritates me is the guys who do an ad nauseum a degree of bitching about women. They almost on a weekly basis, they're finding new and different faults in women's behavior, something to harshly criticize women about. But then they'll quickly turn around and say, hey, but it ain't like I'm a monk. It ain't like I'm involuntarily celibate. I'm a ladies' man. I'm a womanizer. I'm still getting my share of pussy. I still get my share of pussy. Now, all women are bitches. I can't stand them. They all bitches. They fucked up. They're all whores, cunts, bitches, and gold diggers. I can't stand them. But hey, I ain't no monk. I'm not involuntarily celibate. I'm getting my share of pussy. Matter of fact, my women contact me all the time, want me to fuck them. Because I'm a man like that. You know, I'm still a ladies' man, a womanizer. But damn, I can't stand you bitches. You bitches are all bitches. All you hoes are bitches, and all you bitches are hoes. Fuck all y'all. Can't stand you bitches. You hoes, bitches, gold diggers. Can't stand none of y'all motherfuckers. But hey, it ain't like I'm living in my mother's basement jacking off all the time, watching porn every day. No, that's not me. That's not me. It's not me living in my mother's basement. Okay, maybe once a week. Okay, maybe twice a week I'm in my mother's basement jacking off the internet porn. But the other 5 days of the week, I'm a ladies' man. I'm a womanizer. I just want you to know that, Ellen Currie, because you probably think I'm just a total loser. I'm like a partial loser, but for the most part, I'm still a ladies' man, and I'm still a womanizer. And I want you to know that. I want you to know that. I ain't no monk, and I ain't involuntarily celibate. I'm a ladies' man. See, the guys in group number 2, y'all, I don't know if I would say y'all irritate me as much as y'all crack me up. Y'all crack me the fuck up. Y'all crack me the fuck up. So those are the 2 groups of guys, man. If you ain't in those 2 groups, hey, here's the guys I love. And I've said this before. Here's the guys I love and welcome into my fold. If you're a guy who is to one degree or another romantically frustrated and or sexually frustrated, and you come to me and say, hey, Alan, I am a heterosexual man who, number one, I just feel like I just generally don't really understand women well. And number 2, I wish that my love life was better or my sex life was better. What can your books do to offer me some assistance, some educational enlightenment, give me maybe a new and different perspective to see things from? How can you help me? And more so, how can your consultation sessions and coaching sessions help me? Because I'm willing to say to you right now, I need some help. I need some assistance. I got nothing but love for you guys. Any guy who comes to me with that attitude, I got nothing but love and respect for you. Nothing but love for you. Nothing but love for you. Got nothing but love for you. If you're a man that doesn't look at women as the enemy, someone to go to battle against, I got nothing but love for you. But again, if you're in one of those 2 groups I just described, no, I don't really have no love for you. Again, group number 1, the guys that have come to the conclusion that all women are full of shit and that no heterosexual man should even continue to bother with them or pursue them. They should essentially just leave them alone 100% of the time, or at least 95% of the time. Again, to those guys, I'm saying, if you're going to go your own way, go. 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 Go already. Bye. See ya. Arrivederci. Ciao bella. All that. Whatever. Just go. Just go. But I don't want to hear you keep talking about shit. And number 2, group number 2, again, you guys who contradict yourself in a matter of seconds. All women ain't shit. All bitches are hoes. All hoes are bitches. And all hoes and bitches are gold diggers. They all ain't shit. Fuck them all. I hope they burn in hell. But hey, it ain't like I be jacking off just every day of every week of every month. I gotta let you know that I'm still a ladies' man. I get my share of pussy. I was voted in my high school class as the 13th most guy likely to get the most pussy. There was only 12 guys ahead of me. I was number 13. Remember that. So Alan Currie, you probably think I'm a loser, but I'm not. Okay, I'm a partial loser, but for the most part, I'm a guy who still can get a lot of pussy. I just said I hate bitches and hoes and gold diggers. Let me take another drink, excuse me. Okay, in my last video podcast, I talked about my beef, as I have in a few other video podcasts, with this other YouTube host. And everybody keeps saying, well, Alan, man, you're talking about so much, you might as well say his name. You might as well say his name. Why don't you just go ahead and say his name? Damn, why you keep calling him the other guy, that other YouTuber? Why don't you just go ahead and say his name? Well, I already told you why. If no other reason, this particular guy is a guy who thrives on drawing traffic from other people's YouTube channels. Now, obviously, if you read my comment section, you know who I'm talking about. So all you got to do is read my comment section because other people have outed his name. So it ain't like this big, huge secret. I just personally refuse to say his name because, again, among other reasons, I'm not trying to refer traffic to his YouTube channel. But to give you the recap, to give you the quick recap, in case this is a new listener and it's your first time listening to me and you're like, I don't know what Alan's talking about. What is he talking about? I don't know what the hell he's talking about. Let's say for those people, this is your very first video podcast. Listen, man, you kind of, as they say, coming in the middle of some shit and you don't know what's going down. There was this guy. He's both a blog talk radio host, which as you know, I used to host a show on Blog Talk Radio for 9 years. And he's also a YouTube host, podcast host. And how we first came about was I first found out about him because he went after me. He actually criticized me. He accused me of being essentially unrelatable. He accused me of being like a pretentious type dude, a snobbish type dude, because I come from a middle-class family background. He basically was like, I don't think Alan Roger Currie can give dating advice that would resonate with black men from the streets or black men who are working class type, blue collar types. I think he can only relate to black men and other men who are from middle class families and, you know, who have college educated type backgrounds. And so I fired back at him. I was basically like, you don't know me. You're speculating on who you think I am. You're speculating on who you think I am. But because you've never interfaced with me in real life, you don't know who I am. You don't know the type of men I interact with. Black, white, Asian, Hispanic, and otherwise. So you're speculating on who you think I am. And then he actually, to his credit, he issued an apology. I want to say it's still on his YouTube channel. It's called Apology to Alan Roger Currie. That's what it's called. Apology to Alan Roger Currie. So he apologized. Then I left him alone for a few weeks. Then a guy I know named Alex, who also goes by the name Don Calypso, he wrote me a note on Facebook and said, hey, Alan, instead of calling the other guy, just for short, I'm going to call him the old man. Matter of fact, I want to say that's one of his nicknames. So that's the closest I'll come to saying his name. Let's call him the old man. Let's say that's his nickname, the old man. So my friend Alex said, hey, Alan, the old man is really promoting the shit out of your books, particularly The Possibility of Sex. Man, he's promoting it like the shit out of it. I said, really? He said, oh, yeah. Sure enough. So I go to his YouTube channel, and sure enough, he is. He loved The Possibility of Sex. I would say of all the books I've published, I would say that's the book that he loved the most, was my book called The Possibility of Sex, How Naive and Lustful Men Are Manipulated by Women Regularly. And I mentioned in a couple of my recent video podcasts, that's actually also the book that a lot of MGTOW types fell in love with. Like, I rarely heard from MGTOW types until I wrote The Possibility of Sex. MGTOW types love that book. I mean, they love it. Some of them actually have categorized it as a MGTOW themed book. And the reason why it doesn't surprise me, because of all my books, that's the book where I'm the most harshly critical of various aspects of women's behavior. Now, I'm very harshly critical of various aspects of women's behavior. If I had to point out a few, here's the women I'm critical of. There's some women I'm critical of and there's some women I'm not. And I think I pointed this out recently. I'm most critical of women who misrepresent themselves to men. Misrepresent themselves. That's the women who are going to catch the ire of Alan Roger Currie. Is if you're a woman who misrepresents yourself to men. In other words, if you're a woman who's a gold digger, and you basically let men know up front you're a gold digger, I don't have any criticism with you. I really don't. I won't have any criticism of it. But if you're a woman who will meet men and give them the misleading impression that you're not materialistic at all, and then days later, weeks later, months later, years later, it's revealed that you're a highly materialistic gold digger, that's when I'm going to go after you as a woman. Because you're misrepresenting yourself. If you're a woman that tells men up front, hey, I'm a super kinky, super promiscuous woman, I don't have no issue with you. Matter of fact, I love women like that. I ain't gonna lie. I love promiscuous women. I love women who are promiscuous and or polyamorous. The only time I'm gonna criticize a woman who's promiscuous or polyamorous is if you're the type of woman that will give a guy the initial and misleading impression that you're a strictly monogamy-oriented type chick, a prudish good girl type chick, and then it's later revealed that you're highly promiscuous. Because that means you misrepresented yourself. And that's when I will. Like, for those guys who say I don't go after women enough or I don't harshly criticize them enough, you need to read The Possibility of Sex, as well as listen to some of my audio podcasts from Blog Talk Radio and even some of my earlier video podcasts. I always criticize women who misrepresent themselves. Always. Always. And I would dare anybody to say I don't. If you're a woman who misrepresents yourself to men, that's when Alan Roger Currie is going to go after you. If you tell men you're honest, but you're really dishonest, I'm going to criticize you. If you tell men you're a sincere type woman, but you're really disingenuous and insincere, I'm going to go after you. If you give men the impression you love men and adore men, but deep down you're really a misandrist. A misandrist is a woman who hates men, who harbors hatred for men and resentment towards men. I'm going to go after you. So those are the main women I go after. There may be a few exceptions of other women here and there, but generally I go after women who misrepresent themselves to men. And those are the main women I attack in The Possibility of Sex. Burp number one. But see, a lot of guys, and again, not to pick on MGTOW types, but a lot of guys, including MGTOW types, I almost want to say they kind of loosely misinterpreted that book. They looked at that book as me being the type of guy that's like, yeah, Alan, he's one of us, man. He hate bitches just like we do. He hate bitches just like we do. I can't stand bitches. I hate bitches. Because all bitches are hoes, and all hoes are bitches. And all hoes and bitches are gold diggers. Fuck all of them. And they read The Possibility of Sex, and they said, shit, Alan's one of us. He's one of us. He hates the bitches too. See, at first I thought he was one of the motherfuckers that gets a lot of pussy and loves being around women. But I read his book, The Possibility of Sex, and I'm convinced that he's one of us. He can empathize and sympathize with our frustrations, our bitterness, our resentment. He's one of us. Go ahead, Alan Roger Currie. I'm behind you, man. I got your back, man. I like you, man. You MGTOW just like us. You bitter and resentful towards these bitches, hoes, and gold diggers just like us. You one of us. That's right. So anyway, going back to the old man, he loved The Possibility of Sex. And he just would start promoting that book. He did, I want to say, there was at least 1 or 2 episodes. He dedicated the whole entire episode to talking about The Possibility of Sex. He loved that book. And I would say to a slightly lesser degree, my book that just came out last year in 2016 called The Beta Male Revolution. Matter of fact, being a nice guy I am, because we had connected at this point, in my shout out section, my acknowledgement section, I actually mention his name. At least in the, I want to say the paperback version. I don't know if I do in the audiobook or ebook version. I might, but I know in the paperback version, his name is in the acknowledgement section. Yeah, he loved the Beta Male Revolution. And again, see, I think there's a lot of guys who had the same reaction to the Beta Male Revolution. He was like, Alan, he one of us, man. He calling out these ain't no good bitches out here who try to manipulate men and take advantage of us and leave us sexually frustrated. He one of us. He one of us. So yeah, the old man promoted the hell out of... Matter of fact, to his credit, I'll give him this credit. He actually is one of the few black men, if not the only black man, because I mentioned one time on video podcast, I don't really do book signings anymore. A lot of authors do what's known as book signing events. I did a lot in 2006, 2007, 2008, 2009. I'm going to say starting with 2010 or 2011. I don't really do book signings anymore. Number one, they're just not that profitable, to be truthful. I mean, because most book signings is people who have already bought the book and they just want you to sign it. And it lives up to the name, book signing. So it ain't like it necessarily helps me boost my sales. That's just for you to kind of bond with your fans, your followers and supporters, if they have one of the paperback versions of your book. Like I do that when I do speaking engagement workshops. People will come there with my book and I will sign it. And I do enjoy signing my books for people. But yeah, I would say no later than, I don't do book signing events anymore. But anyway, going back to this guy, the old man. He was proposing the idea of paying for me to come to Philadelphia, where he's based, and sponsoring a book signing event for me. But I told him I don't have a paperback version of The Possibility of Sex. I still don't. That's a book that's only in ebook version and audiobook version. But I don't have a paperback version like I do some of my books. I have all three versions. Like Mode 1, I have ebook, paperback, and audiobook. Who Said Again, I have ebook, paperback, and audiobook. And the Beta Male Revolution, I have ebook, paperback, and audiobook. So there's three of my books where I have the trifecta of versions. I have it in ebook, paperback, and audiobook. Possibility of Sex, I only have again in ebook and audiobook form. And another book of mine called Upfront and Straightforward, Let the Manipulative Game Players Know What You're Really Thinking. I have that in ebook and paperback form, but not, well, I take that back. Technically, if you bought my Mode 1 audiobook, that's the beauty of my Mode 1 audiobook. My Mode 1 audiobook is more or less a blend of my Mode 1 book, my Mode 1 paperback, and my Upfront and Straightforward paperback. I would say at least no less than 2/3 of the content that's in my Upfront and Straightforward book, my book called Upfront and Straightforward, Let the Manipulative Game Players Know What You're Really Thinking, is included in my Mode 1 audiobook. So technically it is in all three forms. So anyway, yeah, the old man, he wanted to have a book signing. And I told him I don't have that in paperback. He said, I'll pay for you to put that in paperback. Which was a nice gesture on his part. He said, I will pay for you to put this book in paperback form. Okay. So you can say for the next few weeks, the next few months, things were going fairly well between the old man and I. They were going fairly well. You know, I would call into his blog talk radio show quite a bit. We would even chop it up over the phone privately. You know, sometimes, and as much as once a week, you know. Then I don't want to get too lengthy with all the details of when things began to go wrong, but there was at least 3 incidences where I began to evaluate him differently. There's at least 3 incidences that I began to evaluate him differently. One was he had a falling out with 2 other YouTube hosts who I'm very fond of, which would be a guy named O'Shea Duke Jackson, who's the editor-in-chief of a website called the Negro Manosphere, which I write featured articles for every Monday. And he had a falling out with a guy who I call my little bruh, Angry Man, Juan Valdez, a.k.a. Angry Man. So the old man fell out with those 2 guys. I didn't like that. I thought it was kind of petty, to be truthful. Thought it was petty. I ain't going to get into no more details about that, but I just thought it was petty. So that was kind of like, you could call that turning point number 1. Turning point number 2, speaking of O'Shea, the editor-in-chief of the Negro Manosphere, he was doing an interview of me on his YouTube channel. He's interviewed me at least 5 times, I want to say, individually. And he was interviewing me one time, and the old man asked to participate in the interview. And I thought he was just going, ask a few questions. And he essentially came in the interview and took it over. He took it over on O'Shea's channel, which I thought was just incredibly rude and disrespectful. I know if on any show I'm hosting, that would have never happened. I would never allow nobody to take over a show I'm hosting. I would have disconnected their microphone or muted their microphone so quick it wouldn't have even been funny. Because I had people try to do that, mainly for me, more so women. I can't think of a time when a guy on my old Blog Talk radio show tried to take it over. But there was at least 3 or 4 times where I had a woman, a female guest, that tried to out-talk me, over-talk me. And my simple recourse was I would mute the fuck out of their mic. I would mute the shit out their mic. I caused at least 2 or 3 of them to hang up on me because of that. That's the beauty of being a Blog Talk radio host, is that if anybody gets out of hand, you can just mute their mic. But yeah, I didn't like that. That rubbed me the wrong way. And then probably the biggest thing, and if you go back in my video podcast, I talked about this. This ain't my first time mentioning this. But arguably the biggest one was when I did one of my video podcasts. It was called Direct versus Indirect, and how to prevent false date rape charges. And I don't want to rehash the content of that video podcast, but one of the points I made in that video podcast, and I made this point in a few of my video podcasts, and I do this at workshops, when I do my public speaking engagement workshops. Whenever I talk about rejection, because as you know, I have 4 archetypes of women: reciprocators, rejectors, wholesome pretenders and erotic hypocrites, and manipulative time wasters. Now, on the specific archetype of rejectors, I always emphatically, O'Shea Duke Jackson loves to tease me on that word. He says I use that word a lot, emphatically. I like to emphatically, that means you like to highly emphasize something you're saying. I like to emphatically point out to guys that if a woman rejects you, so if you approach a woman and say you hit on a woman and she says to you very calmly, "I'm not interested," that means you should leave her the fuck alone. Because anything beyond that is harassment. It's harassment. Now, I don't like all these women who want to cry sexual harassment or street harassment if a man hits on them one time. I always tell women, if you haven't rejected a guy at least once, that's not harassment. It's not. I don't care what any woman says. That's not harassment. If I'm walking down the street and I see an attractive woman and I approach her and basically let her know that I want to date her or fuck her, and she says, "Oh my God, you're harassing me." No, I'm not. That's bullshit. And I'll tell any woman willing to listen, that's bullshit. It's not harassment until you have rejected me at least once. At least once. Preferably twice, but at least once. If you've rejected me, if you've told me directly and straightforwardly, listen, with all due respect, young man, I'm not interested in dating you or having sex with you. And I say, okay, fine. That's not harassment. But a lot of women perceive that, but that's another subject for another future video podcast. And trust me, I'll probably talk about it on a future video podcast. But if indeed a woman does reject you, at least once, and definitely if she's rejected you, my biggest thing is leave those women alone. Just leave them alone. Move on, accept that rejection, move on to the next woman. So I was emphatically, shout out to O'Shea Duke Jackson, I was emphatically making that point in this particular video podcast. And to even stress the point further, I said some guys cannot handle being rejected or completely ignored by women. Some guys cannot handle that. They literally cannot handle that, to the point where they become so bitter, so resentful, so romantically and sexually frustrated that they go to extreme measures and they want to cause harm to women. They want to go as far as even kill women. And I pointed out Elliot Rodger, the guy who did that in Santa Barbara, killed some people because of his romantic and sexual frustrations and bitterness towards women. And another guy was George Sodini. There's been a few guys, but those are probably arguably the two most notable in the past few years. So I punched their name. And the old man comes and says, up to this point, I want to say he had never commented in my YouTube comment section before. He had never commented. He would talk about some of my podcasts on his YouTube podcast. He would mention them, but he had never actually came in and posted in my comment section. But on this one, he came in and posted on my comment section. And he disagreed with a few things I said in that regarding the whole false date rape charge thing and a few other things. But the most notable objection he had, he said Elliot Rodgers was entitled to his preferences. He said Elliot Rodgers was entitled to his preference. And my reaction was, what the fuck does that mean? Like, I don't even know what that statement means. What do you mean he was entitled to his preferences? And he went on to say, I don't like to really paraphrase people if I don't have the exact words, because they'll always come back and say, that's not exactly what I said. You paraphrased my words. But that said, he essentially said that I feel like all men have their preferences for certain types of women, whether it be tall women, short women, blonde women, brunette women, Asian women, exotic looking women, whatever. And Alan, it sounds like you're saying that men should settle for women that they really don't want. Now, I never said that. Point of clarification. I never said that. I never said that I've never told a man that he should settle for dating women or having sex with women that he's not attracted to. I've never, ever, ever, ever said that. What I did say was, if you're attracted to, let's make up a name, Amber Johansson. Say there's this beautiful, sexy woman named Amber Johansson. And you are just, oh my God, you would drink her bathwater. You're so enamored with Amber Johansson. What I'm basically saying to man is, if Amber Johansson rejects you, you can't get pissed off about that. Or if she just chooses to indefinitely ignore you, not even give you the time of day, you can't get pissed at her for that. You got to basically say, okay, I was crazy about Amber Johansson, but it's obvious she's not attracted to me, so I got to accept that and move on to the next woman. And then if the next woman ignores me or rejects me, I got to accept that and then move on to the next woman. That's my argument. If you're attracted to a certain individual woman or a certain type of woman, like let's say as far as type of women, let's say your preference was blondes. Let's say that was your number one preference was blondes. But let's say, hypothetically, no woman with blonde hair ever found herself attracted to you. You got to accept that. Well, I mean, what are you going to do? What else you going to do? If you've hit on, say, 25 women with blonde hair in the last 3 years, and none of those women reciprocated your romantic or sexual desires, interests, and intentions, what the fuck are you going to do? You're going to have to quite possibly start thinking about hooking up with some brunettes. Or women with red hair. But it's obvious from your last 25 experiences that blonde women ain't feeling you like that. And see, this is what I tell men. If a woman rejects you, or even more so, she just ignores you, doesn't give you time of day, you get. But anyway, the old man, his argument was, I'm not going to accept things and move on. I'm not. It sounds like you're saying to me, I should just settle for less. I'm not going to do that. I refuse to do that. I refuse to lower my standards. And he said a few other things. So, I want to say later on that evening, I wrote him an email. And I said, hey, brother, I'm just, I'm the type of guy that keeps shit real, and I'm just going to come at you direct. Now, I preface my comments by telling him, I said, I don't have anything personal against him. Meaning that I accept he is who he is. That's what I mean when I say I don't have anything. Whenever I tell somebody I don't have anything personal against you, what I'm saying is I'm not trying to change you. You are who you are. I am who I am. Basically, do you, I'll do me. But I mainly told him two things. I said, now we had never truly done business together. Like I told you, he proposed a book signing event. That never happened. But I basically told him he had proposed at least minimum 2 or 3 business propositions. Like he had proposed the idea of selling Mo 1 t-shirts. That never happened, but he proposed the idea of it. And I want to say the third thing was he proposed the idea of somewhere down the line of us doing a documentary together. So that's the 3 business propositions I remember him proposing to me. One was he wanted to sell Mo 1 t-shirts. He wanted to do a Philadelphia book signing event for me. And he proposed the idea of us doing a documentary at some point in the future. So I wrote him and told him that I no longer wanted to entertain any business collaborations with him. I no longer, and then the second thing was I told him I would prefer if he doesn't promote my books any longer. Because actually, I never asked him to in the first place. Now, I appreciated that he did put forth the time and effort to promote my books, but the fact must be laid out in public. I never asked him to. I never came to him and said, hey, old man, will you please promote my books? I never said that. I never, and if he was to say otherwise, he's lying. I never asked him to promote my books. He chose to promote my books. So I told him when I wrote him this email that I preferred that he did not promote my books any longer. You get that? Okay. And that was the beginning of our parting of ways. Now, let me reference my very last video podcast where I said I was kind of vague in talking about it. But I pointed out, I said, the psychological chess game this guy is playing is actually in some ways very clever. I even gave him that kudos, the guy who I refer to as the old man. I said, the chess game he's playing with me it's what I would call a psychological and manipulative tactic is what he's doing. And he's not the first one to do this. People have done this for years. The tactic he's using is a tactic that's been used for years. So it's not like it's some original tactic he came up with. But for situations like we had, here's the deal. Did you all see the movie Gone Girl? I love that movie. If you haven't seen it, please watch that movie in your free time. If you're a man. Women probably won't like it. A lot of women didn't like that movie. They didn't like that movie at all, actually. I know women who actually walked out of the theater watching that movie. I had some women I went to high school and college with. They said I walked out the theater on that movie. Most heterosexual men love that movie. I would dare even say, I would almost argue that certainly a lot of MGTOW types and other type of guys, the guys I was teasing about earlier who had that attitude like, I can't stand none of you bitches. I know they love that movie. The movie's fucking brilliant. Brilliant. I don't use that word on too many movies. Gone Girl is a brilliant movie. And it was written by a woman. You would never, if you watch that movie, you would be almost feel shocked to know that a woman wrote that fucking movie. You've heard me plug this book before. There's a book called The Manipulated Man, The Manipulated Man, written by Esther Villar. If you read that book, you would swear a man wrote that book. I've never seen a woman go after her own gender the way Esther Villar did in The Manipulated Man. And that book loosely relates to Gone Girl. I don't want to talk about the movie too much because I would inevitably end up giving away spoilers. But let's just say, not only does that movie highlight how manipulative women can be, I mean, really calculated, savvy manipulators they can be. Emphatically, shout out to Oshie again, emphatically, calculated, savvy manipulators that movie can be. But here's the bonus of that movie. The bonus. And me and my fellow dating coach, Steve Dean Williams, talked about. Man, I remember when Steve Dean Williams saw that movie, he called me. Because I don't like him. I don't like anybody to call me late at night. Especially no dude. Now, woman, different story. But dudes, I don't like dudes calling me late at night. Like, I call late like after 10 p.m. and definitely after 11 p.m. Stevie Dean Williams one time, he called me, I want to say like at 11:30 p.m. on a Friday night because he was so hyped from seeing Gone Girl. And he picked up on that bonus element that I picked up on. Not only is the movie an examination of the ups and downs of marriage, and again, the manipulative nature of women, but that movie emphasizes the delicacy of public perception. Public perception. Particularly, see, if you're a person in a public eye, do many of you all watch a show on, I want to say Showtime, called Ray Donovan? It's a real good show. Ray Donovan, one of the things he does is he does what's known as damage control for entertainment celebrities and powerful people in the entertainment industry. Like if they were to be involved in a scandal, they call Ray Donovan to help them do damage control. I want to say Kerry Washington's character on Scandal on ABC does the same thing with politicians. If a politician, like say a married politician was to be caught having sex, cheating on his wife with a erotic escort, that politician would call Kerry Washington's character to do damage control. And that's all about the issue of public perception. Because see, when you're in the public eye, like if you're a major celebrity, there tends to be a difference between who you really are and who the public thinks you are. Let me repeat that. When you're a well-known politician, well-known celebrity, well-known professional athlete, well-known businessman, more often than not, there tends to be a difference between who you really are and who the public thinks you are. Keep that in mind. So, in situations like with me and the old man, as you can tell by what I talked about, the old man is somebody who wanted to align himself with me business-wise. He wanted to align himself with me. And one minor criticism I have of him is that he would write me little notes suggesting that he wanted to do it out of the goodness of his heart, just because he wanted to be a good, supportive brother. Now, I'm going to tell you something. This might sound kind of harsh to some people's ears, but I'm going to tell you something. And people who've worked in business for years know what I'm about to say. On a personal and social level, there's a lot of people who will do things for you out of the goodness of their heart, particularly if they're a relative of yours or a close family friend, something like that. There's a lot of people on a personal and social level that will do things for you out of the goodness of their heart. But if you want to take a business one-on-one advice class primer from Alan Roger Currie, and again, to some people's ears, this might sound a little harsh, but I'm going to break it down to you the best way I know how. On a business level, whenever you're dealing with people on a business level, nobody does anything out of the fucking goodness of their heart. Remember that, particularly if you're a young man coming up and your aspiration is to be an entrepreneur and run your own business, or you just got started being an entrepreneur and running your own business. On a business level, nobody does anything out of the fucking goodness of their heart. Believe that shit. People will do a good job of making you think that that's what they're doing. But I'm telling you, I'm 54 years old, and I have a myriad of experiences in the business world, in one business or another. Nobody in the business world does anything for you out of the fucking goodness of their heart. Anybody try to convince you of that, they are feeding you a bunch of malarkey. That's bullshit. That is straight up bullshit. I don't trust nobody on the business end. And again, I know that me saying that makes me sound harsh. People are like, damn, Alan, surely there are people in the business world that are fairly trustworthy. Dude, I don't trust nobody in the business world. Especially people who try to give you the impression that they doing something for you out of the goodness of their heart. That's bullshit. Anybody who tries to align themselves with you business-wise, they're either looking for a potential financial gain from their alignment with you or a non-financial gain from their alignment with you. One of the two, if not both. They're either looking for some sort of financial gain from their association with you and their alignment with you, or they're looking for some sort of non-financial benefit. Example, non-financial benefit would be simply you're more popular than them. And they're looking to basically mooch off of your popularity so that they can become more popular. I'll give you a classic example of that. The TV talk show host Wendy Williams. Look at how Wendy Williams built her career. And I would say to a lesser extent, Stephen A. Smith on ESPN. Look at how those two people built their career. They're both millionaires now. How did they build their career? Wendy Williams built her career just gossiping about other people, namely celebrities. She was always, all she did was just gossip about the lives and missteps of celebrities. And people, and particularly women, love to hear gossip. People love to hear juicy gossip. And Wendy Williams gave everybody what they wanted. She gossiped the shit, much to the anger and chagrin of a lot of entertainment celebrities. Like I remember I listened to this audio clip where Whitney Houston called into her old radio show. Man, Whitney Houston sounded like she was going to come to that studio and whoop Wendy Williams' ass. She was basically like, bitch, why is my name always in your fucking mouth? Why is my name always in your fucking mouth? Why are you so concerned about my life? The answer is easy. By gossiping about Whitney Houston's life, she attracted more listeners who love gossip, and she made money off of the advertising revenue from that radio show. Period. Stephen A. Smith, I wouldn't necessarily call him a gossip in the same way like Wendy Williams, but Stephen A. Smith kind of did loosely the same thing in the sports world. He was initially this just unknown everyday journalist in Philadelphia. But how he started getting more and more attention, he would go after certain athletes, particularly if they did something fucked up in their personal lives or just had a lot of mistakes in judgment. Stephen A. Smith was quick to pounce on them. See, here's what you got to understand, particularly with a venue like YouTube. Here's what you got to understand. Here's the interesting and beneficial thing to a medium like YouTube and social media and things like audio and video podcasts. You can make a lot of money talking about other motherfuckers. Period. If you didn't know that already, I know a lot of you all saying, duh, yeah, I knew that, Alan. Some of y'all maybe, that might have missed some of y'all. Y'all were like, oh, I didn't know that. Shit. You can make a lot of money talking about other motherfuckers. I'm going to tease O'Shea. O'Shea might get lightheartedly mad at me, but well, he did it publicly, so it ain't like I'm calling him out. But O'Shea Duke Jackson, I mentioned him earlier. He's the editor-in-chief of the Negro Manosphere, who I write for. And he's interviewed me on his show. I've been on a lot of his Google Hangout live streams and stuff. O'Shea Duke Jackson, one time I was listening to a live stream of his, and he said, he saw that I was in his chat room. He said, there go my man, light skin. He likes to call me light skin. He said, there go my man, light skin. Alan Roger Currie, Professor Currie. Professor Currie. What's up, Professor Currie? And he said a few things. Then he said, man, I love Professor Currie. And I give him points for honesty here. Remember I was just saying how don't ever make people think on a business end that they're doing something out of the goodness of their heart. There's always a motive. Now, the people who I respect is the people who are honest about that. They don't even try to bullshit you about it. And to O'Shea's credit, on this particular live stream, he basically said that. He said, now see, some of y'all probably think I just love Alan Roger Currie just because, he's a cool guy and all that shit. He said, shit. He said, Alan Roger Currie makes me money. That's why I love Alan Roger Currie. Alan Roger Currie makes me money. He said, man, you know all the traffic that comes to my website, the Negro Manosphere, because of Alan Roger Currie's articles? You know how many people watch some of my live streams when I talk about one of Alan Roger Currie's articles? He said, shit, I make money off of Alan Roger Currie. And again, I give him points for honesty. I couldn't even be mad at him. He was telling me to my face. He was like, shit. He was basically like, hey, I love you to a certain degree on a personal level, but keeping shit real, I love you because you helped me make money, man. You helped me make money, motherfucker. I've seen it in action. And I ain't gonna lie. I was just a little bit, I was a little lightheartedly pissed about it. Like, for example, one time O'Shea Duke Jackson was doing a live stream. And it was on one of the articles I wrote for the Negro Manosphere. Now again, it was my article. Now O'Shea pays me, it ain't great, but it's a pretty, for a freelance writer, he pays me a good rate. So he does pay me for my articles. But check this out. The brilliance of O'Shea Duke Jackson. O'Shea Duke Jackson did a live stream talking about my article, not anything he wrote, but my article. And guess what people were doing? See, I don't know if you're familiar with the live streams here on YouTube, but there's a feature. I want to say it's a fairly new feature, but there's a feature called Super Chat. Super Chat. Just like old school ministers do a church service and then they pass around an offering plate and people donate. People donate in the plate. Depending on the size of that church, that one Sunday that minister preaches, he might make, 10,000, 20,000, 50,000, 100,000 people donating in the plate because they love listening to that minister preach. Well, Super Chat kind of has the same dynamic here on YouTube. People will listen to someone do a live stream, and then if they want to donate because they love the content they're hearing, they can do so through Super Chat. You can donate $1, $2, $5, $10, $20, $25, $30, $50, $100, or more. This brother, again, he told me, I can't be mad at him because he told me during one of his other live streams, he said, Alan, I love one of the main reasons I love you because you helped me make money. Man, I was watching this live stream of him talking about my article, my shit. And motherfuckers was just donating to him left and right. You just saw $5 here, $10 there, $20 here, $50 there. I don't know the exact amount he made that day, but let's just say rough estimate. He might have made $300 that day talking about my article. That's more than he paid me to write that article. I ain't hating on O'Shea. That's on his end. That's smart business. I just gotta keep shit real. That's smart business. But on that day, doing that brief live stream, it might have been only a half hour long. He made about $300 talking about my article. Angry Man. Shoot, y'all may think Angry Man just likes to get on YouTube a lot because, you know, he's just addicted to YouTube or something. Hey. I give this kudos to both O'Shea and Angry Man, as well as a few others that are here on Tommy Sotomayor and other people on YouTube. Don't sleep on these guys and think they don't have a great business sense. Angry Man is a top-notch businessman. Trust me when I say that. You know, some people had the nerve to accuse Angry Man of goofing off on YouTube, treating it like it's not a real job. Shoot, Angry Man has cleaned anywhere from $1,000 to $3,000 or more in one day here on YouTube. I dare anybody to tell me that's not representative of having a real job. Shit. Tell me a job you ain't gonna be happy if you make $1,000 to $3,000 in one day. Shit. The fuck are you talking about? YouTube, being on YouTube ain't a real job. Are you crazy? Yeah, Angry Man's outspoken. He's a great podcast host. But on top of all that shit, Angry Man is a brilliant businessman. O'Shea, people think O'Shea is just funny. Oh, O'Shea's so crazy. He's so funny. I love O'Shea. He's funny. He is funny. He's funny as hell. He's like almost Richard Pryor, Robin Harris type funny. He's literally, I would say, and I've been to stand-up, so I know stand-up talent when I see it. He's stand-up comedy funny. But on top of that, that motherfucker's a top-notch businessman. So, now, going back to this, I was saying that no one wants to align themselves with you just for the heck of it. Or again, just out of goodness of their heart. When people really kind of bug you about wanting to align with you business-wise, again, they looking for something, man. Again, the most notable, of course, is some type of financial gain. Oh, I'm going to give one more example. I'm not going to say this guy by name. There's my phone. I knew to unplug my phone. I knew to unplug my phone. I'll take this break till my phone stops ringing. Man, it's almost gone. Man, I might have to get up and go get a second bottle. I don't know if I can make it through the rest of this without my so what was I saying? My phone interrupted. Oh, I was saying, anytime somebody wants to align themselves with you business-wise, it's because they either... Oh, I was going to point out one other story of a guy. There's a dating coach I used to collaborate with. Most of you know what I'm talking about, but I'm not going to say his name. But again, most of you know what I'm talking about. We had a parting of ways. We were collaborating for at least, I want to say 3 years maybe, off and on. But we had a parting of ways, similar to me and the old man parting of ways. And he was angry and hurt when I parted ways with him. I mean, now here's where I have to confess a little white lie I told you guys. Remember when I said I've had people have more of a negative reaction to me when I parted ways with them on a business level than on a personal and social level? And I made the comment, I don't understand why that happens. That leaves me scratching my head. Well, I'm going to tell you right now, and please forgive me, but that was actually a lie on my part. That was a lie on my part. When I said it leaves me scratching my head, I don't understand. I fully understand why that is. Why I've had people have a more emphatically angry reaction when I parted with them on a business level than, say, just on a purely personal level. If you have collaborated with someone, say for a 3-year period, and they've helped you make, let's say, $10,000 a year, and you look at that, of course, as a good thing, but then you realize in that same 3-year period, from their association with you, they've made $15,000 a year, you know, and you decide not to do business with them anymore, you think they're going to be happy about that shit? I mean, let's keep shit real. Do you think they're going to be happy? If let's call a guy Joe Jackson. I'm doing business with Joe Jackson from 2017 to 2020. And on the positive end for me, my collaboration with Joe Jackson, he's helped me make an additional $25,000 a year. Nobody would sneeze at that. They would say, damn, Alan, that's great. He helped me make an additional $25,000 a year. Got that? So for 2017, 2018, 2019, and the first half of 2020, he made me make an average of an additional $25,000 a year. But then, on further investigation, I come to the slow but certain realization that even though he helped me make $25,000 a year that I wouldn't have made without my associating with him, he's made $40,000 a year off of his association with me. So he's made 15 grand more than I have on his association with me. Now, some people say, well, you both win because you both made more money that you wouldn't have made without the association. And you can say that's halfway true. But I'm going to be real with you. I don't like the idea of people making more money off of me than I'm making off of myself. I don't like that shit. Like I just teased O'Shea, and even though I don't have that personal against O'Shea, but again, I'll openly admit, I got kind of pissed off, man, when I saw O'Shea making more money off of talking about my article than I did. Generally speaking, I ain't gonna lie, I don't like that. Some people don't mind. I give you a celebrity. Well, there's been a number of celebrities who have problems with this. But if you're an old school fan of Prince, the singer and musician Prince, if you remember, his main record label was Warner Brothers. And for the first few years, you know, he was a good employee of Warner Brothers. He put out X number of albums per year. He did his concerts. No problem. Then, I can't remember the exact year. But if you remember, there was a point where Prince became rebellious. He was basically like, fuck Warner Brothers. Fuck Warner Brothers. He wrote slave on his face. He was like, fuck Warner Brothers. Why did Prince just all of a sudden turn on Warner Brothers? Why did he turn on Warner Brothers? In simple terms, because he realized that even though he might have been making, I don't know the exact amount, I'm going to just give rough estimates. Let's say Prince was making $15 million a year from selling records for Warner Brothers. He's making $15 million a year. But then he finds out that on his musical talents that Warner Brothers was making $100 million a year on his talents, on his singing and musical talents. How would you feel if somebody with no talent, but they just had good business sense, was making $100 million on your talents and you only making $15 million on your own talents. Now, see, if you came from a place where you were broke, you probably would tolerate it. You'd be like, well, shit, this is better than being broke. Shit, I'm making $15 million a year now. Shit, I'm living a good life. Shit, I used to be broke just 5 years ago. Shit, things are going good. But then once you get content with your new wealthy lifestyle, you start thinking, well, wait a minute, though. Yeah, I'm making $15 million a year. But the record studio is making $100 million a year on my talent. The fuck is that about? I mean, I tell you, and most people know this about my business relationship with Amazon. It's just like Amazon and Audible.com, that's a division of Amazon. Audible is who sells my audiobooks. For every $20 audiobook that's sold, Audible makes about $12 of that 20, and I make $8. So Amazon and Audible is making a killing off of Alan Roger Currie. They're making a killing. For every $100 worth of audiobooks that's sold, Amazon is making $60 and I'm making $40. Now, I haven't, I go along with it because their distribution is so wide. That's why most book authors want their stuff on Amazon, because their distribution is so wide. In other words, I could sell audiobooks directly from my website if I chose to, but then only people who would come across my audiobooks are people who are already familiar with me. See, but somebody who goes on Amazon, there's a lot of people going to Amazon, they don't know who the fuck Alan Roger Currie is. They just stumble upon my shit. They say, hey, what's this book about? Let me check out this book. The distribution is so... Jeff Bezos, the CEO of Amazon, is now like the second or third wealthiest person in America, if not the world. I think for like a couple of days he was #1, but then he went back down to #2 and #3. I think it's always traditionally been Bill Gates and Warren Buffett who's always been #1, #2 as the richest people. But Jeff Bezos, B-E-Z-O-S, who leads of Amazon. See, in other words, without getting too lengthy, there's a lot of people in the business world in general, particularly in media and entertainment, who make money off of other people's talents and expertise. Like when you watch a show like Access Hollywood or Entertainment Tonight, those two Hollywood industry-oriented shows that come on CBS and I think NBC, and they always talking about what's going on with a celebrity, whether it's a scandal or a new movie they're in. You think they just on TV talking about those celebrities just to be talking about that shit? Hell no. That's a lot of money they make from them TV commercial revenues for them two shows. Are you kidding me? So my main point was, in an industry like media and even YouTube, there's money to be made talking about other people. Again, O'Shea proved it. He made I don't know the exact amount he made that day when he was talking about my article, but I know I saw a lot of donations from that super chat going to O'Shea. I know for a fact he made more money off of talking about my article than I made off of writing the article. So, now going back to the psychological manipulation and public perception. Remember in my last video, I invited people to figure out some of the actions he's taken over the last couple months were to some degree clever. And I said, I'm not going to spell it out for you. I want you to figure out. And a lot of people, to their credit, responded, both publicly. I had at least 2 or 3 people that responded publicly, and I think I had 5 or 6 people responded privately to their assessment of what I meant by what he was doing was clever. Okay, now here is me spelling it out. Here is me spelling it out. This is what I'm going to do to bring it home for you. I'm going to give you two fictional scenarios. Two fictional scenarios that will hopefully bring home why he's done a lot of things he's done and why I've done a lot of things I've done. And the reason I'm talking, you might say, okay, Alan, why are you, again, you know, and this is what I tried to address to a small degree in my previous video podcast, because people would ask me, Alan, why are you even making this beef public? Like, why is this not something you just handling behind the scenes privately? And I said in the very last video podcast, there's a specific reason why I have felt forced to make my thoughts and feelings known publicly. And I'm about to break it down to you why I've chosen to make this more public as opposed to just leaving everything a private issue. So, knowing the situation, what you know so far between me and the YouTube host known as the Old Man. Now, here's a book. You've probably heard me promote this book a lot of times. It's called What Do Women Want by Daniel Bergner. I've mentioned this book a lot when I was on Blog Talk. I actually interviewed the author of this book on Blog Talk Radio a few years ago. And after that, I've promoted his book at different times. I always use this book primarily as what I would call reference material. Reference material. Why? Because a lot of the contents in his book, a lot of his like research findings, Bert number 3. A lot of his studies and surveys and research findings in his book, it validates and co-signs with a lot of my own assertions, a lot of my own beliefs and attitudes, a lot of my own experiences. So anytime somebody has a book and I say I read their book and I see that there's certain contents in that book that further validates an argument I have already presented to somebody, or some assertion I've already presented to somebody, I'm going to be singing the praises of that book. And that book, What Do Women Want, is a classic example. Now, let's take it a step further. Let's say I told Daniel Bergner, hey, Daniel, man, I love your book, What Do Women Want, so much, man, that I want to sponsor a book signing for you, man. And I want to help you blow up, man. I want to help you just blow the fuck up. I want to help your book become 10 times more popular than it is right now. Now, is that Alan Roger Currie trying to help out Daniel Bergner out of the goodness of his own heart? Hell no. Hell no. I'm thinking myself as a good person, but I ain't trying to help nobody out just out of the goodness of my own heart. The reason, if I was to do that, the reason why I would want to help him promote his book, because I would want some of his fans and followers to slowly but surely start paying attention to my books. And I would want them to say, shit, I like Daniel's book. I love Daniel. And who's this other guy? Alan Roger Currie. Oh, he seems like a nice Negro gentleman. He seems fairly nice for a Negro. He's a pretty nice guy. I'll check out his books. Yeah, I'll see what his books are about. So, in any way I was to help Daniel Bergner improve his success, it would inevitably help me improve my success too. Okay, you get that? Got it? Get it? Got it? Good. Now, let's say he said, okay, Alan, I'm going to entertain the idea of you giving a book signing for me and helping me promote my book. Oh, let's say another thing I said. You know, Daniel, you don't seem like the type to hang around a lot of brothers and sisters. And, you know, I'm cool with the brothers and sisters. So I'm going to help promote your book more to the brothers, man. The brothers in the hood, college-educated brothers. I'm going to help you become real popular in the black community. And he was like, I like that. I like that in you, Alan. I like the way your mind thinks, because I really don't have that much of a truly urban audience. So I'm willing to consider your proposition. So let's say he thought about it, and, you know, we was cool, and like, you know, you hear me talk about his book on my show. I talked about it on my blog talk radio show from time to time. Talked about it on my video podcast from time to time. Now, let's say that Daniel Bergner was listening to one of my video podcasts, and he heard me talk about getting my dick sucked in the grocery store and getting my dick sucked in LAX airport and some of my other sexual escapades and sexual exploits. And Daniel was like, oh my God, this guy is a fucking hedonist. He's out of control. Who gets their dick sucked in a public grocery store? That's illegal. That's considered, you know, lewd behavior in public. This Negro's out of control. I mean, I don't want my book associated with this guy. He's off the chain. He's out of control sexually. Most of my fans are married people and, you know, good conservative prudish citizens of America. This guy is freaky dinky. I don't want a guy who would get his dick sucked in a grocery store, you know, associated with my brand and my book. So he writes me an email. He says, hey, Alan, how you doing there, buddy? Hey, I have nothing against you personally. I think you're a great, intelligent guy. Thank you for having me as a guest on your Blog Talk Radio show. I really enjoyed the conversation. But hey, I'm just going to give it to you straight. I would appreciate it if you just stop promoting my book. I really don't want my book associated with you because, among other reasons, you got your dick sucked in a grocery store, and I just think that's kind of, you know, that's kind of out there. And I don't want people to think that I condone a guy who would want to get his dick sucked in a grocery store. I mean, even though I write about sex, I don't want people to say, hey, Daniel, are you the type of guy that condones having friends that get their dick sucked in a grocery store? So, Alan, I got to tell you, please just do not mention my books anymore on your show. And also about that idea about the book signing, no, that's not going to happen. I'm sorry, that's not going to happen. No way, Jose, that's not going to happen. Now, I could have one of two reactions. I could say, dang, that's disappointing, Daniel. I was going to help connect you with the brothers, too, man. I was going to help the brothers feel you more, man. You was going to have this big increase in black support, man. But you just fucked that up. But anyway, I'm accepted. Okay, it's all good. It's all good, Daniel. I'll accept it. That could be response number one. Or I could say, what? Are you serious? Are you serious? Are you really serious right now? I've been promoting your book. I've been promoting this book for the last 2 years on my show off and on. The last 2 years. And this is how you gonna treat me? You gonna treat me like this after I promoted your name? Man, black people wouldn't have known who the fuck you were if it wasn't for me. And you gonna treat me like this? You motherfucker. God damn it, you motherfucker. And hell yeah, I got my dick sucked in the grocery store, motherfucker. You can't handle that shit? Because you didn't get your dick sucked in the grocery store? Fuck you, Daniel. Take your fucking red cover ass book on out of here, motherfucker. And furthermore, be rest assured, I will never, ever, ever bring up your book again on my show, motherfucker. Fuck you, man. Fuck you. I ain't gonna ever talk about your book again. Fuck you. And then, later on that day or the next day, I say, wait a minute. I have to be honest, Daniel Bergner has some good shit in that book. So, if I promise not to talk about that book, that will prevent me from using his book as source material for the talking points on my show from time to time. Because a lot of contents in his books validates arguments I make and assertions I make. Shit. I'm going to find a way to still talk about his book, even though he asked me nicely not to. I'm going to find a way to still talk about What Do Women Want by Daniel Bergner. You believe that? But damn, I can't trash the book because, number one, I love the book. Like I said, it validates a lot of my arguments and assertions. And number two, if I was to trash the book itself, people would say, well, shit, why was you trying to have a book signing with him in the first place if his book is trash? So I would never want to do that. I know what I'm going to do. I know what I'm going to do. In reality, his request was fair. He just decided on his own that he did not want to do a book signing with me, and he no longer wanted me to mention his books. So privately, yes, that request was a fair request. But I'm going to strategically make it look like his request was unfair. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make it look like he's an unfair person. And furthermore, I'm going to make it look like he can't relate to the type of guy that would get his dick sucked in a grocery store. Because there's guys who have gotten their dick sucked in public places that could probably learn a lot from his book. And he doesn't realize that. But I realize that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do nothing but praise Daniel Bergner's book. I'm going to tell my listeners this is the best book next to my own books ever written. This is the absolute best book ever. I'm going to praise his books like, oh my God, I'm going to praise his book. I'm going to say his book is excellent. I'm going to say this book is so good, it sells itself. It's so good. It sells itself. It's so good. Damn, that book is good. But I'm going to make Daniel Bergner, in my own strategic way, seem like he's out of touch with the more promiscuous men of society, the type of man that would get their dick sucked in a public place. I'm going to make it seem like he's out of touch with black men. That's what I'm going to do. So people will still love his book, but they'll say, I'll have some people saying, damn, Alan, really, you should have wrote his book. You should be the person talking about his book. I don't want to listen to Daniel talk about his own book anymore because he can't relate to guys who get their dick sucked in the grocery store, in a public place in general, and he can't relate to the average brother. But you can, Alan. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm gonna make it seem like he's treated me unfairly. He just don't understand how I could have helped him. I could have helped him blow up. If he would have agreed to that book signing event, I could have helped him blow up. But no, I'm going to take little strategic jabs at him. And here's the thing. If he doesn't say anything, it'll seem like he's co-signing with my jabs. If I say publicly he can't relate to a guy, a promiscuous heterosexual male who may or may not have a woman perform oral sex at him in a public venue, if he says nothing, then that makes it seem like he's essentially co-signing with that assessment of his behavior. And also, if I publicly say that he can't relate to the average black man, what I would like to call the everyday brother, and he remains silent, then that'll also make it seem like he's in agreement. He co-signs with that assessment, that he is out of touch with both the promiscuous heterosexual male and the everyday black man, the everyday brother. The only way he cannot look like he's co-signing with those assessments is for me to get him so riled up that he'll try to challenge those assessments and want to debate me on those assessments and want to argue with me on those assessments. And then here's what I'll do when he does that. I'll make him so riled up that he lashes out at me. And I'll just remain calm. And then people say, God, that Daniel Bergner, he got a temper on him. He's an angry sort of guy. Man, Alan should be thankful he disassociated himself from Daniel. Because Daniel seems like a very temperamental guy. Alan seems more level-headed. He probably was unfair to Alan to begin with that temper he has. Look at him. He was lashing out. He told Alan, he said, you're no daisy at all. He said, I'm your huckleberry. How dare him say that? He's a temperamental guy. We like Alan. You know, at first I was a fan of Daniel's book, but shoot, to be truthful, I no longer, after seeing his angry lashing out, I only want to listen to Alan talk about what do women want. Even though he didn't write it, I would be much more receptive to hearing Alan talk about that book than hear Daniel. You feeling me? Damn, this is running long. This is going to be a long one. Because I ain't even finished yet. So this is going to be a long one. You feeling me, though? I'm going to give you similar fictional scenario number 2. Let's say there was this guy named Henry. And Henry loved my books. He loved my books. And he proposed some potential business collaborations with me. Okay? And things were going well. Then similarly, I told him, I said, hey, Henry, man, you know, I don't know if you know, man, but I love chicken wings. And I saw that you're a raw vegan. And with all due respect, man, I ain't down with that whole raw veganism stuff because I love chicken wings. You know, next to sex, ain't nothing brings me more joy and pleasure and satisfaction than eating chicken wings. So, you know, I would prefer you just don't promote my books no more. And Henry says, what? What? I promoted your books for the last 18 months or more. And you gonna treat me like this? Man, I went out of my way to support you, man. I promoted the shit out of your books, and my podcast show ain't even about dating and relationships. It's about nutrition and eating good, healthy food. But I used to always promote your books, man. You gonna do me like this? Well, fuck you then, man. I ain't gonna talk about your books no more on my Raw Veganism podcast show here on YouTube. Fuck you, man. Fuck you, Alan. Fuck you, man. You ain't shit anyway. Fuck you, man. And then Henry says, oh, shit. But damn, I do like them books, though. And I like to reference them at times and use some of the content in there as talking points for my podcast show when I segue away from food and nutrition to my personal life and my struggles with dating and relationships. Damn, I gotta find a way to still talk about his books. Even though I don't like him no more. He's a motherfucker. Chicken wing eating motherfucker. I don't like any guys who eat meat. So what is Henry gonna do? Henry is gonna be strategic. Keep this concept in mind. Public perception. Here's the strategy play that's in play in these type of scenarios. You want to always make the other person seem like they're more of the bad guy than you are. That's what you want to do. And in the case of a book author, again, you never want to trash the book because then people will just simply obviously ask you, well, why did you promote the person's book in the first place? Why did you try to align yourself with them in the first place? Isn't the reason why you tried to align yourself with them in the first place because you love their books? So you can't trash the books. And quite honestly, Henry genuinely likes my book, so he don't want to trash my book. But if Henry tried to use a clever strategy, what he would do is tell his listeners, you know what, people? Alan Roger Currie, as you know, I promoted his books, Mode 1, Who Said Again, The Beta Male Revolution, because sometimes I felt like a beta male myself. I felt like I had a lot of struggles as a beta male. And that book really spoke to me. I felt like he wrote that book just for me. So I got to tell you, listeners, number one, Alan Roger Currie's books are excellent. They're so great, I would venture to say his books sell themselves. That's how great they are. They essentially sell themselves. But here's my one knock on Alan Roger Currie. It's recently been revealed to me that he eats chicken wings. And sometimes, occasionally, he eats pizza, he eats steak. And you know how I feel about that. I'm a raw vegan. The only way a person can eat meat is if there's animal cruelty involved. So, as much as I love and respect Alan Roger Currie's books, I have to tell you, listeners, he's not one of us. He's one of them. He's one of them. He's one of those people that supports animal cruelty and the slaughtering of innocent cows and chickens. He's not one of us. We're the purebred people. We believe in just eating fruits and vegetables, and healthy non-meat items. No animal ingredients whatsoever, but that's who I thought Alan Roger Currie was. I really did. He had me fooled. I thought Alan Roger Currie was one of us. But he's one of them. He's one of them. So you'll probably hear me mention his books from time to time here on my show. Because, again, his book, The Beta Male Revolution, I still maintain, that book spoke to me. Because I'm a lifelong beta male. I've never been one of those womanizing alpha male types. I've been a struggling beta male for most of my life. But I think most raw vegans are beta males. There's no such thing as a womanizing alpha male who's a vegan. Just about all of those womanizing alpha males, they eat meat. Because that's just how they are. They're brutal people. So Alan Roger Currie, he's one of them. He's not one of us. I'll continue to promote his books. Even though he asked me not to, I'm going to continue to promote his books anyway. Matter of fact, he asked me real nicely not to, but I'm going to still reference his books from time to time anyway. But again, he's not one of us. He hates animals. That's what he does. He hates animals. He's an animal hater is what he is. He's an animal hater. And I don't support animal haters, but hey, The Beta Male Revolution is an exceptional book. Now, what did Henry, the raw vegan, just do? Or at least attempt to do cleverly? Again, he in no way wants to trash my book because that would make him look stupid. That would make him look stupid. And the truth is, he knew when he first connected with me that I ate chicken wings, but he was willing to, bypass that. Look over it. But once we fell out, and once I told him that I didn't want him to promote my books anymore, and I didn't want him to sponsor book signing for me, Henry said, he's basically like, oh, okay, I got you. I'll get back at you. Because he's realized that some of his most popular podcasts are the podcasts where he not just talks about nutrition and food and healthy eating, but those podcasts where he talks about food, nutrition, healthy eating, and the struggles of his love life and sex life. So he wants to reference my book, The Beta Male Revolution, for talking points. But I asked him nicely not to mention my books no more. But he basically said, fuck Alan Roger Currie. I'm going to still talk about his books. But his clever tactic is to praise my books, but at least partially demonize me. That evil meat eater, Alan Roger Currie. So here's how that would benefit me. People, his fans, would probably still purchase my books, particularly The Beta Male Revolution. So you could say, I'm still making money off of him talking about my book. But most of his fans ain't going to want to listen to me talk about my own book, The Beta Male Revolution. They're going to rather listen to Henry talk about The Beta Male Revolution. Because he's one of them. He's a raw vegan like them. I'm a meat eater. I'm the evil person. So they don't... Some of his listeners are going to be like, yeah, Alan Roger Currie's book is excellent. It's an excellent book, but I don't want to hear him speak. I'll never go to his YouTube channel. I'll never go to any speaking engagement of his. quite honestly, I'd rather I'd rather listen to Henry talk about the beta male revolution, because he's a raw vegan like me. You understand that? You understand the chess game that's being played? Now, once again, to answer the question, and this is the whole reason I'm talking about this, because a lot of people ask me, Alan, why do you feel the need to bring this the public? If he calls me things like, using a fictional scenario, if Henry was to call me an animal hater, I don't hate animals. So if I don't say shit, that would make it look like I'm basically agreeing with his assessment that I'm an animal hater. If I just quiet and don't say anything, that makes it look like I'm co-signing with him that I'm an animal hater. And then I'm all about eating unhealthy food, which I'm not. I love chicken wings, but I'm for the most part, I do like to eat healthy food. So if he criticizes me of being an animal hater and a proponent of eating unhealthy food, and I don't say anything, I just don't respond. As some people have said to me, Alan, just don't respond. Ignore him. Ignore Henry. Ignore Henry. Don't answer back. Don't give him any rebuttals. Yeah, you can say that prevents me from being involved in drama on one end, but on the other hand, that makes it look like I'm quietly co-signing with his assessments. And that might hurt the sales of my book. That could potentially hurt the sales of my book if people think I'm a genuine animal hater and a proponent of eating unhealthy food. That could potentially hurt the sales of my book. So I would feel compelled to respond, if nothing else, and say, hey, I don't hate animals. I hate animal cruelty. I really do. Yeah, I got a weakness for chicken wings, but I do not hate animals. I'm a lover of animals. And I'm not a proponent of eating unhealthy food. I eat a lot of fruits and vegetables and brown rice and drink healthy beverages. It's just that I like grilled jerk chicken wings and baked chicken wings and all other kinds of chicken wings, you know. It is what it is. But I don't hate animals, and I don't just fill my stomach with totally unhealthy food. I would feel compelled to make that public clarification. Damn, it's going to be a long one. I'm approaching 2 hours now. Don't get me wrong. I'm going to wrap up real soon. So the strategy that's being played is, in simple terms, by the old man. Going back to the old man. Here's how he's trying to play this game with me. His game is, I'm never ever going to say anything negative about Alan Roger Currie's books. Ever. If you got a gun to my head and twist my arm, I swear to God, I won't say anything negative about the contents of Alan Roger Currie's books. No way, Jose. I will never, ever do that. Why? Among other reasons? Well, number one, he does genuinely. Well, I ain't going to say he loves all my books. Let me point that out. As I mentioned this at the beginning of the podcast. See, the main book that the old man fell in love with was The Possibility of Sex. That's, I would say, of all my books, that's the main book that most resonated with him. And to a slightly lesser extent, The Beta Male Revolution. Now, he does mention Mode 1. He tends to emphasize my main principle of Mode 1, which is for men to be upfront, specific, and straightforward with women about their romantic and sexual desires and interests. But I've never really actually heard him go into detail about that book. That's what's interesting. So I want you to make note of that. He's never really went into detail about my Mode 1 book. I would venture to say one or two things: that he's either never thoroughly read that book, or he did thoroughly read it and he had a lot of disagreements with it, but he'll never say it publicly. But he never really actually talks in detail about Mode 1. And he sure in hell never talks about Who Said Again. I've never, that's the one book of mine. Here's what I found funny about that. In terms of just, if nothing else, just how well each of those books sell. My best-selling audiobook is Who Said Again. And up until earlier this year, it was also my best-selling paperback. Between 2012 and most of 2016, Who Said Again it's my fault. I should have unplugged my phone. I should have unplugged my phone, but it's ringing, so you hear it ringing. It might be because I was out of town yesterday, and so people want to catch up with me. Okay. Yeah, the one book of all my books that he rarely ever mentions is my book, Who Said Again. But that's my best-selling audiobook for starters. Yeah, that's hands and away my best-selling audiobook. Matter of fact, that's the audiobook that has been purchased most by female listeners. Like, most of my books are predominantly male buyers. But Who Said Again, a good number, at least based on feedback. I don't know the exact number of each gender that buys it, but if I'm going on the feedback I received, a lot of women have bought Who Said Again. So that's number one. That's my best-selling audiobook for like the last 2 years. And the paperback version of Who Said Again was my best-selling paperback from like January of 2012 all the way up until about September, October of 2016. And Mo 1 is, right now, I would say Mo 1 is my best-selling ebook and paperback. And Who Said Again is my best-selling audiobook. Mo 1 has reclaimed the title of my best-selling paperback. But it was for a while Who Said Again. So my two best-selling books are the books he least talks about. Those are the two books he least talks about. He hardly ever talks about Who Said Again. And for the most part, he doesn't talk about Mo 1. He talks about the primary central principle of Mo 1. But he doesn't talk about the entire book itself. Like, I've never heard him discuss Mo 2 behavior. I've never really heard him discuss Mo 3 behavior. And I'm damn sure never really heard him discuss Mo 4 behavior. Keep that in mind. Yeah. The main books he likes to reference for talking points is The Possibility of Sex and The Beta Male Revolution. But what the clever game he's playing, so he loves to endorse my books. He loves to promote my books. If nothing else, he likes to use them as just like I said, I like to use Daniel Berger's book from time to time as reference material to validate some of my own arguments and assertions and beliefs and attitudes and what have you. Life experiences. That's essentially what the old man likes to do with my books. There's a lot of things I say in those two books, The Possibility of Sex and The Beta Male Revolution, that validates some of his own arguments and assertions. So even though he said to me in an email, when I told him I wanted to part ways with him, out of his anger, he said, I'm going to never mention your name again. I'm going to never mention your brand name, your books again. That first night when I told him I was parting ways, that's what he said to me. He said he wasn't going to mention the shit. But what happened? Just like I used the fictional example of me with Daniel Burton, and more so the fictional example of the guy Henry, the raw vegan. Here's number one. Here's the point number one. And then I'm going to wrap this up because this is going way longer than I knew it was going to be somewhat long, but I didn't know if it was going to be this long. But I don't regret it. It needed to be said. Everything in this video podcast needed to be said to address this whole beef thing. The old man knows that he wants to reference my books a lot for talking points on his podcast. He knows that. That's why he refuses to stop talking about me and my books. Because it would almost kill the content of some of his podcasts. It would almost kill the content of some of his podcasts. And see, as far as legalities, I can't legally prevent somebody from using my name or talking about my book. Just like Whitney Houston couldn't legally prevent Wendy Williams from using her name and talking about her life. There's no legalities that protect me from somebody mentioning my name or from somebody referencing my books in a discussion. Here's when I can take legal, and I have. I've had a number of videos taken down on YouTube. Here's the one time I can have legal authority to prevent somebody from talking about my books. If somebody was to do a podcast where they were just blatantly reading lengthy excerpts of my book, like say somebody said, "Hi, my name is, Johnny O, and I'm gonna read the entire chapter 4 from Alan Roger Currie's book, Who Said Again. I'm gonna read the entire chapter 4. He couldn't do that. He can't do that. That's copyright infringement. That's copyright infringement. So yeah, if somebody's trying to do that, I can shut them down like that. You cannot read. It's just like Wendy Williams couldn't play a song by Beyonce Knowles without her permission and without paying for it. She couldn't do that. She would have to pay for that right. Like if you got a TV talk show, you can't, or a radio show, broadcast radio show, you can't just play people's songs and shit without either A, getting their permission and or paying them a fee, a royalty fee for that. But Wendy Williams can just, if she just wants to have a discussion about Beyonce Knowles, she can do that all day, every week of every month. So yeah, when it comes to stuff to do with my books, my materials, the one thing people can't do, they cannot just play an extensive audio clip from one of my audio books. That would be copyright infringement. And they can't post print screen pictures of pages from my books. That would be copyright infringement. But if somebody says, is having a general discussion, say about dating relationships, and they want to just briefly reference my book, even if I've asked them nicely not to mention my book, I can't legally prevent them from doing it. I can't legally prevent them from doing that. It's just like I teased O'Shea. Like when O'Shea had that discussion about that article I wrote on the Negro Manosphere, I mean, I didn't mind. But let's say I got pissed at O'Shea. I mean, that's not something I can legally prevent. Because number one, I wrote the article on his website. It ain't like it was an article from my website. I wrote the article for his website, the website he owns. So he can talk about that article all he wants to and make money off of it. So the number one objective that the old man wants to accomplish is he wants to be in a position where he can still reference my book. Use my books, one or more of my books, as a reference point for his talking points. Not reference point, reference material for his talking points. He wants to use my books as reference material for his talking points. Because if you were to listen to a lot of his past podcasts, he references stuff from my books all the time. Again, particularly those two books. I rarely hear him reference anything from Who Said Again. I've never heard him reference anything from there. And he barely references anything from Mo 1 other than the main principle. But he references a lot of stuff from The Possibility of Sex and the Beta Male Revolution. But because we parted ways, and because he wants to protect his image and reputation among his fans, followers, and listeners, he has to find somewhat of a strategic way to make me look like the bad guy. Make me look like I'm the guy who's treating him unfairly. Like I'm treating him unfairly. Just like Henry tried to make it seem like I made him, that I treated him unfairly. So again, what the here's the strategy. I'm going to sum this up one more time. I already did it with the Henry example, but I'm going to do it with the old man. This is what the old man has done. And then I'll just wrap this shit up. Starting with our parting of ways, again, he initially said, Alan, I'm not going to mention your name again. I'm not going to mention your books. You know, basically, in other words, in a nutshell, he's basically like, fuck you, motherfucker. Fuck you. You gonna disassociate yourself from me? Fuck you, man. But then again, I know what happened. He thought about it. He said, well, shit. Nah, I don't want to do that. I don't want to just completely stop talking about Alan Roger Currie on my podcast show. I don't want to completely not be in a position to reference his books for talking points when I need to. No, I gotta find a way to still talk about his books, even though he asked me nicely not to. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna always praise his books. I ain't gonna never say anything negative about his book. Not one thing negative about his books, particularly The Possibility of Sex and the Beta Male Revolution. I ain't gonna say nothing negative about his books, but I'm gonna strategically take jabs at him. I'm going to offer assessments of my characterization of Alan Roger Currie that's going to make him look like, at minimum, that he treated me unfairly, and even more so, that he's not one of us. So that's what the old man does, and he does it well, man. He comes at his listeners essentially with attitude like, my brothers, I need my invisible army, my brothers. I need my invisible army. I need your support because we're in battle, my brothers. We're in battle. Alan Roger Currie, yes, he wrote the Beta Male Revolution. And initially, when I connected with him, I thought he was one of us. But my brothers, I'm here to tell you, I'm sadly here to tell you, he's not one of us. He's one of them. He's one of those conspicuously handsome, womanizing alpha male types. Type of guys that get their dick sucked in a grocery store and then loves to talk about it 100 million times on his show in a juvenile and sophomoric way. That's what he is. That's the guy he is. Yes. He says he's mode 1, that he's upfront, specific, and straightforward. But the truth be told, my brothers, I'm more mode 1 than he is when it comes to exposing black female fuckery, my brothers. I want you to rise up with me, my brothers, because I am the voice of the everyday sexually frustrated beta male. He wrote the Beta Male Revolution. I personify the Beta Male Revolution. Can I get an amen? Amen! Amen, old man. You the man, old man. You are the man. That's right, my brothers. I have your back. Again, I thought Alan Roger Currie was one of us. I really did. That's why I sung his praises all the times for 18 plus months. Because I genuinely thought he was one. I thought he would empathize with the struggles of the beta male. I thought the reason why he wrote the Beta Male Revolution is because he had had some beta male type struggles. But this brother recently said most of the women he's dealt with were more horny for sex with him than he was with them. No beta male can relate to that shit. He's one of them. That's what Alan Roger Currie is. He's one of them. His books are brilliant. They're excellent. They sell themselves. Those books, I would recommend them to anybody. You know, most of his followers are Caucasian, Asian, Hispanic, and Middle Eastern. But when he connected with the old man, I brought him a new, significantly higher black male audience, because that's what the old man does. I didn't ask for money from him. He offered at least once or twice. I said, no, keep your money. The old man is doing this out of the goodness of his heart. And how did he repay me? He wanted to disassociate himself from me. He said I wasn't mode 1 when I exposed this female fuckery, but more so I'm mode 4. He tried to brand me as a misogynist because he doesn't understand the struggles of the beta male. He's not one of us. I'm one of you. I speak for you. I am your voice. All you sexually frustrated beta males, I'm your voice. Yes, he wrote the beta male revolution, but I am the beta male revolution. I ask you not for $50 donations, not for $30 donations. I ask you just for $5 a month on my Patreon page, my invisible army. That's all I ask for. That's just a McDonald's value meal, my brothers. See, Alan Roger Currie, yes, he criticizes black women here and there, but really he's on this side because he's a womanizing alpha male. They suck his dick in grocery stores. They treat him like a king. He calls himself the king of verbal seduction. I don't believe in verbal seduction. I believe in speaking out old man style. I call out black female fuckery without apology. I don't care how many black women across the world I leave butthurt. That's what I do. Because I'm the old man. Rise up with me, my brothers. Yes, old man. Yes. You are the man, old man. That's right, goddammit. Rise up with me. He's not one of us, Alan Roger Currie. Again, his books are brilliant. God damn it, they're brilliant. The possibility of sex. Oh my God, I had a mental orgasm reading that book. I had at least 5 mental orgasms reading that book and at least 2 reading the Beta Male Revolution. That's how brilliant his books are. And no one on earth will get me to say otherwise. Those books are so excellent they sell themselves. So I will never discredit his books. The contents of those books, I can talk about them on every other podcast show for the rest of my life. But Alan Roger Currie himself, he's somewhat of a fraud. I thought he was one of us. A lot of you guys probably thought he was one of us. He says he empathizes with beta males, but he hasn't had the struggles of a beta male. I mean, he's had threesomes with women. Women pay him for phone sex. What struggling beta male you know who has threesomes and has women paying them for phone sex? No, he's one of them. One of those conspicuously handsome, verbally smooth, silver-tongued, sweet-talking, womanizing alpha males. That's who Alan Roger Currie is. He tries to act like he's on our side, but really, he's on the side of the woman, and more specifically, the side of the black. He said when he was in college, black women fucked him freely and fixed dinner for him. What struggling beta male do you know who had those type of experiences? He's not one of us. He's one of them. But I'm one of you. That's who the old man is. I'm the voice of the sexually frustrated beta male. Again, he wrote the beta male revolution. I am the beta male revolution. I've lived it. I've breathed it. I personify it. Technically, he should just sign over the copyrights to that book to me. And I would rewrite it, and I would have more credibility with you guys, because you know I'm one of you. Now, if Alan Roger Currie was a smart man, he would make up with me. He would mend fences with me. And he would hire me on as a marketing consultant, even as a future co-author. He should do a documentary with me, where I talk about and expose black female fuckery that's ruining the nation as I speak. Men are no longer safe in their homes because of black female fuckery. Wait a minute. In acting, that's called breaking character. I broke character. Okay. People are not safe in their homes because of black female fuckery. You know the reason North Korea wants to go to war with us is because of black female fuckery. That's right. Kim Jong-un doesn't have a problem with President Trump. That's what it makes it seem in the media. No. He has a problem with black female fuckery. Do your research. He met with Dennis Rodman a few years ago to discuss black female fuckery. And that's why he wants to go to war. He wants to destroy, just like Ra's al Ghul wanted to destroy Gotham because he said it had become so corrupted. My brothers, I speak to you. Our nation has become corrupted with black female fuckery. Rise up with me. Oh man, oh man, oh man. That's right. You cheer me, revere me. Put $5 pledge on my Patreon page. I am the old man. Alan Roger Currie he's one of those womanizing alpha males. He doesn't understand things that I do. He doesn't understand all the fallacies in the world. I'm the best at that. You know how intelligent I am and how articulate I am? He doesn't even use big words like I do. I use more big words than anybody on YouTube. I dare anybody to disagree with me. I am the king of using big words on YouTube. I know some of you black men who listen to me have to pull out your dictionaries and your thesaurus to understand me when I talk. When I talk about things like propositional fallacies. That's right, propositional fallacies. Do you know what that means? The old man does. Quantification fallacies. Do you know what that is? I do, because I'm the old man. Formal syllogistic fallacies. You know what that is? I bet you don't, but I do, because I'm the old man. Informal fallacies. You don't know what that is, but I do, because I'm the old man. Faulty generalizations. Surely you don't jest. Surely you jest. You don't know what that is, but I do, because I'm the old man. Alan Roger Currie doesn't know none of this shit, but I do, because I'm the old man. Red herring fallacies, non sequiturs, that's beyond Alan Roger Currie's pay grade. I know what those things are, because I'm the old man. Conditional or questionable fallacies, he doesn't know what that is. I do, because I'm a professional argument, professional agitator and arguer. That's what I am. I love confrontation. I flourish on confrontation. I know how to push the right buttons to get Alan Roger Currie to lash out at me and tell me that I'm no daisy and that he's my huckleberry. See how I got him? See how I was able to push those buttons and get him to lash out at me? Because he's an unfair guy. I went to the mat for this guy. I promoted his books ad nauseum. I even used this chant, Mode 1. That's what I did. I used this chant, Mode 1, because I believe in Mode 1. But where I differ from Alan Roger Currie, he only believes in Mode 1 as it relates to satisfying his own selfish sexual needs. I believe in Mode 1 as it relates to satisfying my sexual needs and bending women over my couches. And I also believe in it when it comes to exposing black female fuckery. He calls that Mode 4. I still call that Mode 1. That is Mode 1. Me calling out. I'm more upfront, specific, and straightforward than he ever will be when it comes to calling out black female fuckery. Rise with me, my brothers. Rise with me. He's one of them. I'm one of you. Join me. Give me that $5 pledge. Save the rebellion. Fuel the rebellion. Let's move forward. Let's destroy. I offer no solutions because I don't believe in that shit. Solutions are overrated. Fuck solutions. I'm not here to present you with solutions. I'm just here to present you with the problem, which is black female fuckery. If I was in charge of the laws, that would be an A-grade felony. Black female fuckery. Join me, my brothers. I am your leader. Even if you didn't choose me to be your leader, I am your leader because I'm one of you. And he's not. Again, Alan Roger Currie wrote the beta male revolution. I am the beta male revolution. Rise with me, my brothers. Save the rebellion. And that is all Alan Roger Currie will ever say, hopefully, fingers crossed, about this beef ever again. So consider this 99.9% chance this was my final chapter on this whole beef shit. This whole beef shit. And I'm going to be moving forward to more productive activities. But I just wanted to let you know why I haven't been able to just completely ignore him. And so why I had to go public here and there about it, like I am doing in this video podcast. And I wanted to make you openly aware of the strategy that he's doing. He praises my books, but in his own strategic way, he demonizes me. He makes me feel like I'm in the enemy's camp. That I'm in the enemy's camp, or at minimum, that I'm on the fence between his camp and the enemy camp. But he got both feet entrenched in his mission, his rebellion, so that his listeners will bond with him. Even though he's referencing my books as material for talking points, he wants his listeners sold on his leadership, his mission. Hashtag fully aware of what's going on. That's the hashtag. Fully aware of what's going on. So if you were ignorant to all of why I kept referencing this so-called beef, for lack of a better word, and for all the feedback you guys have sent me over the last 2-3 days, if not longer, about that's directly, indirectly related to it, now you know what's going on. Now you know what's going on. I'm going to come back with another video. Probably about 2 days, 2 or 3 days. Now I'm going to enjoy the rest of my Saturday. Take care. Mo one. I created Mo one. Remember that.
Yes, sir.
Say it again.
Yes, sir.
Who's the king?
Alan, you're the king.
Say it again.
Alan, you're the king. You're dominating me.
Say it again.
Alan, you're dominating me right now. Mode 1.
Mode 1.
Daddy, can I go, please? You're the king.
Say it again.
Oh, you're the fucking king. Yes. Yes. Yes.
You're the king, Alan.
AKA the king of verbal seduction. You know, it's the tone of your voice, how seductive your intonations are, the vibrations that you could just reach out over the phone lines and stroke a woman's breast just by the sound of your voice, how you could make her pussy so wet just by the sound of your voice. That's actually very hot.
So you said my show was what?
I said your show is powerful.
Oh, say it again.
Your show is powerful.
I bet the king would fuck me really good.
Oh, yeah. Who's the king?
Alan Roger Currie.
Oh, yeah. Who's the king?
Alan Roger Currie.
The king.
The king.